but I do want to start a conversation about what is wise use of technology, and are there better and worse ways to use our technology. Overly high expectations. Now, it doesn't mean you don't shoot for the stars. It doesn't mean you don't try to do better, not that. But that the expectations we have for the world are all the time being updated relative to the kinds of evidence that we have, and that a pathologically stuck high expectation, it's a form of perfectionism, where you always expect to be getting an A+, even if the signals tell you otherwise, even if it's like you're in a new school, you're doing a new thing. It would be like just, in terms of grades, I don't know if you can feel that, but I feel a little bit like, oh no, I wanna make sure I'm a A+ student or whatever, and that's good, that's fine. But imagine you went into learning a new instrument. Has anybody here learned an instrument as an adult? So there's a tendency in fans and also in athletes that if they start winning a few games in a row, that there's a high expectation to win the next game. And from a purely statistical point of view, that's a ridiculous idea to have. Because winning other games has nothing to do with whether or not you're going to win this game against this completely different team in like a different arena under different constraints. Like, how would those even relate to each other? Other than you have a great team and you're up against a team that you know you're better than. I mean, but that's not what they think. They think, no, we've won. We're on a hot streak. Or you're at the casino and you're like, I'm on a hot streak. I have to stay. This next hand is likely to be a good hand too. Statistically, it doesn't make a lot of sense. Remember, we're not seeing the world as it is out there, nor would you want to. Like, if that makes you feel a bit funny, just remember, like, you don't want to have access to all of the data. That would be catastrophic. There's too much out there. It's too complex. Our system is built in order to find the meaning. And that means actually a lot of our expectations are filtering and biasing and augmenting the reality that we live in all the time. I mean, that's the sort of take home of this big chunk of the course. So for moods to be healthy, for them to play this role, we need to see this fluidity, this oscillation between a good mood that biases perception, and then that one that shifts to negative surprises, lower mood, which biases perception, and back again. Why is it that this sort of fluidity is useful for us? Just kick it back to me, insanity check. Why do we want moods that oscillate? Why wouldn't we just want to be in a good mood? This is a course called The Happy Mind. We all came here thinking, oh, tell me how to be happy, persistently, forever. That's what I need. And now we're dropping on you, no, wait. For moods to work right, they have to go up and down all the time, and that to be well isn't to be happy, per se, but to be happy and sad in the right context and in the right sorts of ways. When you have moods that oscillate, then you also tend to, if rewards in your environment have this sort of natural cosine, whatever that cosine is, if you have a stuck mood, if you have a stuck expectation that doesn't track real-world dynamics, I mean, first of all, this is our third week of talking about that. We're going to hit it today hard again with social media. But any model divergence from real-world statistical regularities is a problem, right? If your perceptual experience is based on what you expect to be there, and that's being generated from the model you have of how the world works, and your model separates away from the real-world stuff, then we're in danger, right? We have this very old and not a good idea that cognition and emotion are somehow easily separable, but that's just not the case. When you look at the brain, you don't find dedicated cognition circuits and dedicated emotion circuits. You see emotion, perception, behavior, cognition, whatever those things are that we categorize them as. They're sharing circuits all the way through. So affective dynamics in the body are wedded through the whole system. And when they go quiet, the reason why you feel depersonalized and derealized, like the world stops being real, you stop feeling like a person. The reason why that happens is because all of those little micro affective changes, they're all the time giving you this sense of being affectively pushed and pulled relative to the things that you care about. And that's happening at a really, really small scale. So like every time you see a doorknob, there's like a little movement inside to turn the doorknob. Or you see a light switch, there's a little pull to hit the light switch. And every time you see, baked beans, if you have some food poisoning relationship with that, there's like a very subtle And you may not even notice it, but the smell of beans is pushing you. The smell of your mom is pulling you. That's happening all the time. And that very subtle affective dynamical stuff, that gives you a sense that you're in a world that you care about and that the world has depth to it. That's how phenomenal depth feels. When that goes silent, you lose the sense that you're you and you lose the interesting thing from the world.
Whether you acknowledge that or not, right? You can understand on the agent level that
you know it.
That you know that that's not real, but it's still, like, the system is still registering that it's you and it's not you.
That's the big one. So the one that we already know is if you just keep seeing filtered images of other beautiful people, that doesn't make you feel great about yourself. And that's even if the agent knows these are filtered images, you still don't feel good about yourself. Because what's happening is you're training a model of what people likely look like. Your system doesn't know the difference even if you flag it. Remember, placebo effects work even when you as the agent knows that's not a doctor. It's because it doesn't really matter what you know, it matters what the system expects to be the case. Those are slower moving things. That's why you still jump at a horror movie. Because if you jumped at a horror movie and it was all about what you know, you'd be a very weird person. That's the person, if we were in that world and your friend had a jump scare, you'd be like, it's a movie. You know that, right? Like, we're at the theater, okay, are you good? Okay, right. But that's not what happens. We all go like, gah, blah. We're all fighting the spiders and arachnophobia. Everybody does that. Why do we do that?